You're listening to Mike and Scott read a poem. This is episode 29, Sonnet 47. So, Mike, we recorded this episode a little while ago, but we didn't do an intro. So for 5 points, can you name me one thing that we talked about on the last episode?
One thing. For 5 points?
Yes.
I think I remember talking about baseball.
More specifically? One man. For 10 points. It was... Okay. Oh, no.
Not Chili Davis.
No,
He was on the A's.
No.
He played on the A's. Right? Thinking of a different guy, maybe? Angels. Sorry.
Yes. You did.
I meant Angels. Chili Davis?
No,
I just said Chili Davis. Why is he on the front of my mind?
I still give you a good effort.
Donningly.
Brian?
Not Brian Downing.
Brian
Downing?
Brian Downing, yes.
That guy lived on my street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a world. What a world.
That's the only reason why I know his name.
He was I remember him from my childhood. No, the correct answer is Dave Winfield.
Dave Winfield!
So
the man who was drafted in the NFL, NBA, NBL,
okay, well, that's a
and
spoiler.
NHL probably.
That's a spoiler alert. That's just a flat-out spoiler alert. And so if you want to hear more about that, it's at the very end of the episode. So this is episode 29, Sonnet 47. Mike and Scott read a poem. That guy lived on my street. That's funny.
He did, his family and him.
Alright, I gotta be honest. I'm not inspired by our Twitter or Instagram.
No?
It doesn't inspire me.
It's not your muse?
I can tell when I'm doing something through inspiration and when I'm doing something because I feel like I'm supposed to. I'm doing the Twitter and Instagram as if I'm supposed to. There's no fire.
But what's wrong with doing something because you have to?
I guess you're right. I guess I could just keep doing it. And I'm just admitting to you now that I'm not doing it out of the fire. So if you see a different quality in the Twitter and the Instagram, accounts that we've created, and the podcast, if you see a difference in the fire, it's because there is a difference in the fire.
In the passion.
There's much more passion now. There's a lot more dread when I'm doing Twitter and Instagram. I pull my hair out trying to get the words on the tweet perfect.
Yeah, you have social media anxiety.
I do. It's social media anxiety. I can't post anything on Facebook. I start to, and then I'm like, everybody. I start thinking of the audience as too broad. Like something that I want to say to my friends is different than what I want to say to everybody else in the world. And when I said friends, I meant my friends in real life, not Facebook friends. Like something that I want to say to you, I don't want everybody to hear that.
Yeah. Everybody's got different masks that they wear. Between the different groups that they hang out with, right? So it's hard to have one public social identity that everybody agrees upon. Because what if doing corny jokes, is your thing with one friend, but with some other people, it's like being that somber, serious guy.
So there are people that are on social media a lot. So what if they have both of those qualities that you just described, but somehow they're able to be on social media a lot still because maybe they are able to represent both of those things. I don't know. They've come to more of they're at peace with who they really are.
As somebody who's grown up through the social media revolution, I feel like it's just something for the young. It's something for 20-somethings.
I agree with you, except that there are older people that are very comfortable with social media. So it's not just for people that are young. It's also a personality type, I believe.
Yeah.
You don't have an aunt or uncle or older cousin that is just on there all the time with pictures, and you just really know what their life is like right now, or you think you know what their life is like because you just see things that they're doing on social media.
Yeah, pretty much. Like people who post every tiny little thing about their day. I mean, people really do that.
Right. But you don't have to follow them. You don't have to look at it if you don't want to, but you do.
Oh.
And now you kind of know what's going on with them. All right. So this is Mike and Scott read a poem, not Mike and Scott discuss social media trends of the 2000s, of the 2000 teens. Is that what you call it? Man, I can't wait till we get to the 20s. That's why these past 14 years have been so hard.
Yeah.
We predicted that it was going to be hard, and then we got here and we're like, what do you call these? The zeros? What is this? The tens?
Yeah, in the late 90s, in the late, what would that be? Would that be the 20th century, right?
Yes. You lived almost your entire life in the 20th century.
In the late 1990s, you referred to everything as like, 80. Oh yeah, back in 86, back in 70. You can go all the way back to back in 44. But once you get down into like the tens and teens, you got to start talking about whether you're talking about the 2000s, the 19s, the 18s.
Yes, I mean, hopefully you would get it in context a little bit. So when the person says, I was in an alternative fuel vehicle. Actually, no, that is an ambiguous one because it's like it could be a horse.
Yeah. And then there's the whole thing about like the electric car was invented way early on in the history of cars, but it got like the kibosh put on it.
They had the technology for HD TVs a lot earlier than it was rolled out. But you know why they didn't roll those out earlier?
Why is that?
Because they couldn't find the power button. It turned out it was on the side of the TV. They just couldn't even find it. All right, so this is Mike and Scott read a poem. This is episode 29. We're going to read Sonnet 47 today. Is that right? 47?
That's right.
Okay, so let's see. I think Sonnet 44 and 45, they went together. I think that was the Ninja Turtle one. Remember those two sonnets? It was like earth, air, fire, and water.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're in this this cool little stretch of sonnets that are somewhat metaphysical.
Yeah, but
in
it
nature.
was just those two that went together like that. The next one, what was last week? I actually don't remember what last week.
I think last week was
last month. We should start saying because it's now a monthly podcast.
Oh, is it officially a monthly podcast now?
Yes.
All right.
So what was the sonnet last month?
So last month's sonnet was there's the four elements.
Oh, then there was my heart and my eye are fighting over who gets to have you more.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, my heart and my eye are at a mortal war.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So I wonder if it's going to be anything like that.
Let's find out.
You go to Shakespeare Online, right?
Shakespeare's-sonnets.com.
I go to Shakespeare-online. I go to the orange one. All right. I have it pulled up and ready to go. So whenever you're ready, Mike is going to read Sonnet 47 by William Shakespeare on Mike and Scott Read a Poem.
Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took, and each doth good turns now unto the other. When that mine eye is famished for a look, or heart in love with sighs himself doth smother, with my love's picture then my eye doth feast, and to the painted banquet bids my heart. Another time mine eye is my heart's guest, and in his thoughts of love doth share a part. So, either by thy picture or my love, thyself away art present still with me, for thou not farther than my thoughts canst move, and I am still with them, and they with me. Or if they sleep, thy picture in my sight awakes my heart to heart's and eyes' delight.
Very nice. Very well read. I felt it was like you were very confident at that time.
Yeah, I don't think there was many words that could kind of make me stumble throughout this one.
And I'm glad we reviewed last week's sonnet, because I think this is a continuation. Now the heart and I, they're working as a team. You take a turn, look at the fair youth for a while. Okay, you looked long enough.
Oh yeah, that's what we decided at the end of last month's sonnet.
Yeah. Each side gets their moiety.
Yeah, that there's no reason to really split them up.
Right. So when the heart really needs to take over, the heart will take over. And then it goes back to the eye, and then it goes back to the heart. And that is the only thing this sonnet's about.
There's a part in the middle somewhere where he's talking about my thoughts being with you, whether or not you're near me.
Yes.
Right?
Where is that? Thyself away.
And in his thoughts of love doth share a part. So either by thy picture or my love. So that's, by picture is sight and love is heart.
Mm-hmm. Art. Oh yeah, thyself away, art resent still with me. So you are
resent?
a resident, like a resident, I'm guessing?
I have present.
Oh, you have present? I have resent.
Ah, okay.
But I was thinking, this could be a typo. We've never discussed typo before, but we'll still look up resent. Do you want to look it up now, or do you want to go from the top and get to resent?
Yeah, let's go from the top.
From the top. Betwixt mine eye and heart, a league is took. Does this mean they're just forming a bowling team?
Yeah, I think by league he's talking about there's a competition.
Oh, okay, they're competing against each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
What leagues were around in Shakespeare's day? Was the NFL around yet?
Well, I think maybe the original 6 teams in the NFL were around, but the NFL itself was not yet. The Pittsburgh Steelers were probably around.
Though, of course, they weren't called the Pittsburgh Steelers because Pittsburgh wasn't around yet.
Yeah, they didn't.
Of course.
But they said, if we ever find new land and they ever create a sport, and the sport happens to have a team called the Pittsburgh Steelers, I own that team.
Let's look that up at the end of this thing. If there was, what kind of sports were around in Shakespeare's time?
Okay, that's a nice question. Sports? There was fencing.
Oh yeah, fencing's been around forever, huh?
Well, I mean, first they were hitting each other with branches, and then they created swords, and then they were like, well, these branches won't do anymore. Let's start cutting each other. Okay, so a league is took. I was thinking it was cooperative. You're thinking it is confrontational. Let's find out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it might be a league like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Yes. Or if you and I join a bowling league, if I said, hey, Mike, do you want to join a bowling league with me? You would probably think we're going to be on the same team. Now we get down there and you're like, okay, so we're on the same team. I'm like, no, I asked you to just be a team captain. I want to beat your butt in the finals.
Yeah, I asked you to join the league with me, not to be on my team.
Come on, man. Listen to my words. All right.
Oh, that'd be so sad. Yeah. You get down, you're all ready to be on my team.
Yeah, so you get there. I tell you, hey, I'm going to be there. I don't know, I was thinking around 5 to sign up for the league, and you're like, okay, cool, I'll see you there. I'm like, yeah, all right. I end up actually going at 4:30 with 3 of my other friends, and we create our team. And you show up, and you're like, wait, what? You already have a full team? I was like, yeah. I just asked you to join the league, not the team. I thought it would be fun to compete against you. Obviously, you don't want to have fun with me.
Yeah. Okay. So now I get what you meant when you said I'm going to kick your butt.
I've been saying it the whole time. Okay. Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took. We'll see what that league is. And each doth good turns now unto the other. So I'm thinking they're doing each other favors.
Yeah. Okay.
When that mine eye is famished for a look, or heart in love with sighs himself doth smother. So when the eye hasn't seen you for a while, or hasn't gotten to really look at you in a while, or also those times where the heart hurts because it hasn't been with
feeling love.
Yeah, feeling love. With love's picture, then, my eye doth feast, and to the painted banquet bids my heart.
Okay, so like when my eye's hungry,
Yeah.
I get a sight of you.
Yeah.
Or when my heart is looking for something to love, I get it.
Yes, I think they're even working in a better team now, because he says, when my eye needs to see you and my heart needs to feel you, what I do is I look at you, either a picture, like maybe a painting I have of you, or just your actual presence. Maybe I actually look at you. And when my eye does that, it's like, hey, heart, come here. Look at this beautiful person that you love.
Yeah, so they're hooking each other up.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
they're talking to each other.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure league means that they're it's like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Extraordinary gentlemen.
Yeah, they're being gentlemen to each other.
Yeah. Another time, mine eye is my heart's guest, and is in his thoughts of love doth share apart. So sometimes I'm not around you. My mind's like, hey, eyes, come here. I'm going to screen a movie for you. It's this movie I made called Our Love for this other person. And then I screen the movie, and it's just a bunch
grab
of
the popcorn.
images. Yeah, it's just a bunch of images of you. And even though I'm actually staring at a blank wall, or I'm staring into the sky, whatever I'm doing, what I see is you, because of because of the movie that my heart's playing.
Yeah. Okay, so I see where I was. This next part where it says, so either by thy picture or my love, thyself away art present or resent still with me.
Is this now where we look up resent, even though I think we clearly are on a good rhythm here?
Yeah, I think we're fine, because it makes sense so far. It's like, all right, so because my heart and my eye aren't fighting each other anymore, whether you're here or not, I'm still happy, because you're still here. If you're not here, if you're not near me, my heart is in love with you. If you're near me, my eyes are able to feast upon you.
Yes, so they're working in tandem. Yeah, they're making up for the other person's shortcomings.
Yeah.
You know what? That was hard for me to come up with shortcomings. I think a lot of times I forget that word exists.
Shortcomings?
Yeah, I think I usually want to describe people's shortcomings. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's my brain telling me, hey, maybe don't go discussing people's shortcomings so much. For thou not farther than my thoughts canst move, and I am still with them, and they with thee. So no, I think it has to be present, because this is, no matter how far you are, my thoughts can go farther. You could be on the edge of the universe. My thoughts go to infinity. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I'm with them and they're with me. Is he the first to say that wherever I go, there I am?
Maybe, yeah.
And I am still with them and they are with me.
You are what you think.
And they are, it says, sorry, it's and they with thee. So I'm with my thoughts and my thoughts are with you. So I'm with you.
It's how Shakespeare figured out how to move faster than the speed of light. You just have to move at the speed of your own thought.
Pretty much.
Yes, and you just have to want to be farther than a light could travel. A light beam.
Einstein thought he had it.
Yeah, but he was wrong.
Like
it was actually in Sonnet 47. Okay, this couplet better not ruin it for us, because I think we're feeling pretty good. Okay, couplet, don't do anything crazy now. You just play nice, and we're gonna get out of this unscathed. Okay, here we go. Or, if they sleep, thy pictures in my sight awakes my heart to my heart's and eyes' delight.
Okay, so if I dream about you, right?
Yes. If my thoughts go to sleep, so my thoughts can move wherever you are. But then if my thoughts sleep, it's playing a movie for my heart and my eye, because neither one of those are really working when you're asleep, unless your thoughts are making these feelings happen.
It's getting deep. Yeah, I think he's saying, if my thoughts stop thinking about you, like my heart kind of stops, or doesn't remember what it's like to love you, maybe, then just thinking about what you look like kind of makes me love you again.
So he has really warm feelings because he loves this person and just how they live their life and what they're all about. And maybe sometimes that just wears off, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're just having a bad time, or they're doing something that's annoying you, or for some reason you're not really feeling that love. Well, then it doesn't matter because my eyes take over and they're like, yeah, but you're so beautiful. Like, it really doesn't matter what I'm feeling in my heart because I just love using my eyes so much. But then when you start, then my heart has taken that little break where it's like, maybe I don't love this person. And my eyes took over and my eyes sent messages to the heart like, hey, come up here real fast. Look at this person.
Yeah.
And my heart's like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then those days that person maybe isn't present, or you just forget to get excited about how that person looks, because that happens, say, in a marriage of many years. You forget to, then all of a sudden just the love that you have for that person takes over. And then your heart tells your eyes, hey, come here. Look at this person through me. And then your eyes are like, oh yeah, you're right. This person's beautiful. So
well, the heart's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, whoever is helping who at the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They keep convincing each other.
Yeah. It's definitely the eyes and the heart are both a team now.
Yes.
I like this.
Yes.
I like this sonnet.
And the thought is the third person. So it's the three musketeers, but the two of the musketeers I think are talked about more. And then the third musketeer is kind of added on.
Well, I think they both share the thought. Like the thoughts are spurred on by both sight and heart.
It's, you know what it's like. It's all for one and one for all.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not the Three Musketeers. Also, because I mean, isn't the whole book about the fourth musketeer? And there is no fourth musketeer here, unless the next sonnet's like, and then came D'Artagnan.
Can you name the Three Musketeers?
Name the Three Musketeers. Okay, where's my pen? Oh, it's in my hand. Oh, I've been clicking it. I need to tell myself to not click it during the podcast.
Click what?
My pen. Because every once in a while it shows up on the recording right when I'm saying some brilliant thought. So it's not like I could edit out the brilliant thought. I got to keep that in. And then there's a clicking. Okay. So Three Musketeers.
Oh, we're going to look that up?
So I think it's nougat, chocolate. No, okay. It's
and peanut.
Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan. Okay. We don't have to look it up. I got it.
That's them?
That's them.
Wow.
It's also the last question. I don't want to ruin it for you, but in the movie Slumdog Millionaire, there's a question about the Three Musketeers, and it's some big emotional moment because it's something that he talked about with, I think, maybe his brother when he was younger. Because the whole movie is about there being a reason that he knows everything, every question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
So he may not have read the book, but he knows it just from life experience.
Yes, but every single question, like the $100 question, it's some little question, and you see that flashback of his early childhood and why he knew that question. And then another question, and it goes a little farther in his life, and that one question in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire shows up in that little vignette of his life. It's so brilliant.
Nice.
I've only seen it once. Man, I want to watch it right now. Okay, so we're going to take a break and watch Slumdog Millionaire. Now,
and we're back.
Well, that wasn't as good as I remembered.
Terrible film.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that's the Three Musketeers. So, do we have anything to add to Sonnet 47?
Yeah, I do. I want to see what's your take on who's he talking to here, and what's going on in the soap opera of it all.
I'm going to keep guessing fair youth until I'm told by the sonnet captains not to go fair youth anymore, because I think that was the fair youth goes deep into these sonnets. So
but didn't they just have a huge little falling out? Like the fair youth hooked up with his mistress.
Yes, but all he said was that things are going to change. I don't know, maybe he got over it.
Yeah, he was pretty upset, and then all of a sudden now he's like missing the fair youth again. He's back in love.
Yeah, or these were...
So, okay, maybe... wait, I think there was a little bit of like a forgiveness sonnet, wasn't there? Like, oh, it's probably my fault. Although we don't know if he was being tongue-in-cheek about that. Like,
Yes.
it's my fault that, I'm so beautiful. Kind of a thing.
No, it's my fault that I let you affect me so much, or that I almost caused you to do what you did.
Yeah. I want to know what's going on in the, between them right now.
Yes, the other theory that I was going to throw out, which probably is not going to be a real theory, but what if these were sonnets that he had written before the breakup, and he just wanted to put them out there?
Oh, like in real life Shakespeare?
Yeah, he's like, Sonnet 47's pretty good.
These were during the time where, after the breakup, he couldn't bring himself to write anymore. So he's like, "Oh, I got these ones laying around. I'll just post these."
Just to
Because
keep...
people, the newsstands were expecting a new post every week.
Yeah, like, when are you going to release the new album? I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. No, well, get to it, okay?
And everyone's like, "Whoa, you're back in love again?"
What's this? You're talking like there was no... Yeah. Hey, Shakespeare, read the new sonnet. What's going on in that story, man? I don't think that this is actually how Shakespeare released his sonnets, but great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see if we get some more trivia questions as we look up the correct definition of episode 29. I mean, of Sonnet 47. We'll see if we come up with more trivia questions later, but right now we're going to look up the correct definitions and interpretations of Sonnet 47.
All right. I don't know if you know that you're doing this, but you're tapping on the table. Are you okay with that?
Well,
just letting you know in case you wanted to. Yeah.
Just in case.
You're going to hear it in the recording. You'll be like, "Oh, I was."
Yeah. I like that. Okay. So we'll see if we get some more trivia questions later. Right now we're going to look up the correct interpretations of Sonnet 47 here on Mike and Scott Read a Poem.
All right.
I also forgot to do the Mike and Scott Read a Poem thing.
Oh, on the first run through?
Yeah, forgetting all of our trademarks. We're back on Mike and Scott Read a Poem. Mike, do you have anything to add after we've read the professional analysis?
Nothing other than, holy cow, Batman, we got it perfect.
So your grading metaphor this week is Robin lines.
Yeah.
And I guess we got a bad grade because yours would be the lamest. Holy cow, Batman? Do you think he ever actually said that? Well, maybe he did. Maybe there was a giant cow. That would be funny. Holy cow, Batman.
That would be a pretty lame Robin exclamation.
Or just like a giant cow balloon or something and the Joker's controlling it. I don't know.
And he pops a hole in it. Holy cow. Holy balloon cow. Or holy cow balloon.
Robin, you saved the day. You popped the balloon. Good for you.
From Shakespeare's Daft Sonnets, they sort of touch on the fact that Shakespeare was going through some real turbulent waters prior to these sonnets, and it seems almost like he's come into sort of a calm, a tranquil sea.
Yeah.
Is how they explain it.
The calm after the storm.
Yeah.
There eventually has to be a calm after the storm too. Nobody talks
That's
enough
the
about
calm I'm looking for. Is
Yeah.
the calm after the storm.
Of course, in some cases, that calm takes place decades later after everything from the storm has been cleaned up. That's very sad. But
in the case of Jupiter, it's millions of years later.
Because of the meteor storm?
No, because the huge eye of Jupiter is like a hurricane.
Yes, but is it
Or
like
a
water?
storm.
Is there water on Jupiter?
Or
Or is it just wind?
No, it's probably a whole bunch of crazy gases and liquids, gases that have been turned into liquids.
gas and liquid storm. Oh, that'd be awful. Just awful. All right. So, yeah, Sonnet 47. What do we do? Yeah, Sonnet 47. Sorry, man. It's just you were not quick enough for us. We got you this week.
Yeah. The last few sonnets have been really kind of easy to interpret, I think, which is such a breath of fresh air. Because we've gone through some really tough sonnets in the last, right. I don't know, 5 or 6.
We deserve these sonnets.
Yeah.
So
they're really nice too, because I mean,
I like them.
The idea is super clear. Like here, he's just talking about the idea that my eye and heart are playing teamsies now, and everything's all gravy, and there's nothing to just kind of like actually misinterpret, really.
Yeah, but it's still effective. I feel what he's saying. I know what he means.
But yeah, I agree. It's really still a really beautiful piece of poetry.
So our trivia questions this week: sports in Shakespeare's time. The Three Musketeers I got.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was. You already looked up Shakespeare's handwriting. That's really not a trivia question. So, do you want to just ask me a sports question and see if I can answer it?
Yeah, I love doing this.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Any preference on sport?
I'd prefer, I think, baseball, basketball, maybe tennis, but I don't know.
Okay, we'll go for basketball here. So recently, I've heard that LeBron James. How current are you on your basketball news?
Pretty current.
Okay, so I've heard LeBron James recently has gone back home
to the Cavaliers.
Yeah, is that the team that he was like bred on?
That was the team that drafted him into the league, and then he played there 6-7 years.
So I was wondering, okay, so he left, and everybody in that area was all mad at him. They thought he was like selling out or something. Why did he leave? Was it because it was for less pay, right?
Yes, he felt like the Cavaliers were not going to be able to assemble the parts to make a championship team, whereas the Heat, he personally talked to Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and they were like, let's go to Miami together and go win championships.
So isn't that what sports players do? Like, well, actually, no, they don't usually get the choice, huh? They just get traded without even...
In basketball, they're getting more powerful. So, but there's another argument that says that Michael Jordan never wanted to be traded to the Celtics so that he could join Larry Bird. He wanted to beat Larry Bird.
Oh.
So LeBron James, instead of making his team the best team in the NBA, he said, I'm going to go somewhere else where there's already great players, so we're just going to be great.
So how warm of a welcome is he receiving now?
Very warm, because he's bringing hope back to...
Oh, so people are okay with him coming back.
People in Cleveland, pretty much everywhere in the U.S. supports it, except, of course, Miami. But if you were to poll the country, most people are in favor right now of LeBron James playing in Cleveland. But actually, now that these are once a month episodes, and we've kind of stockpiled some of them because of what our schedules are going to be like pretty soon. I'm giving all this backstory to say that by the time this episode airs, I think it might be mid-season.
So, yeah, he might be doing really well or poor. Who knows?
Poorly, or some crazy thing happened. Like, who knows?
Well, so I brought that up just because I was wondering about trades. Who's the most traded guy in basketball?
Well, there is... I don't know who the most traded guy is, but there is a little documentary. I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 documentary or if it was just a segment I saw on SportsCenter. But sometimes what they do, and I don't know if this was basketball or baseball. I think it was basketball. I'm almost positive it was basketball. Sometimes they'll make a trade And when you make a trade, you kind of have to make the salaries match as close as possible. So if you're trading away a $15 million player, you trade him away to a team that has a $10 million player and a $5 million player, and they send them both to you. So
Got it,
the
yeah.
payrolls are close. So sometimes what they do is they give you a player, a draft pick, and a player to be named later. Where it's like, it's this term, and it's so strange because it's like, well, why don't you just name that person now? Why are we going to find out later? But it's this player to be named later, and it's, I don't know if it's
what's the strategy of having not releasing the name?
It's that they're saying that it's going to be some, I guess,
somebody who equals
piece,
the.
But we just want to get this trade done now, and that's the last detail. I really don't.
So it might be like somebody who equals the difference in salary.
Possibly, but it's actually something worth looking up because I don't really know why they are allowed to have this thing called a player to be named later. But I saw just a little thing on ESPN once about a guy that is almost always the player to be named, not almost always, but a person who was very frequently the player to be named later. So he just kept bouncing around from team to team, never even playing significant minutes, just being traded.
Like being traded like a commodity, like
Well, that's what basketball players are to owners, in the sense that they are just pieces of this.
I guess that's
thing.
true. Yeah. What I mean is, like,
they're human beings, but
he's basically he's on a team to be used as leverage in trades. Like, that's his whole job.
Well, I don't
not
think
to
that's
actually
why,
score
I don't
points,
think
right?
you get him because you want to use that later. You get him because it was the only way to make the trade work. You got what you really wanted. Sometimes you're not even looking for a better player. You're just trying to clear salary cap space for next season. So
I wonder if that guy is like, he probably got paid so well because you get like a little bonus every time you get traded, and like,
I don't know I don't know that you get. Where have you heard that you get a bonus?
I don't know. I know the term signing bonus, and that's all.
That's when you sign as a free agent with a team, or you get drafted. They're saying,
so you don't always get a signing bonus?
No.
Okay,
and not
so
all
that guy
players
probably never gets some.
Not all players are offered signing bonuses either. It's the players that they really want.
Oh, okay, so that's just like a little cherry on the top kind of a thing?
Yeah, sign this right now. We're going to pay you $8 million a year, but sign it right now, $300,000 today.
Okay, that's how it works. Yeah. So there's some guy who's been traded, what do you think, in the ballpark of like 3 or 4 times?
I think it would be a little higher than that in order to be a story. Because, no, I know players that have been traded 3 or 4 times, but you're saying the player to be named later 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it would be, but I still think it's got to be like 8 times. So let's see if we can find
so
that.
Bad.
Player.
The guy's probably making so much money though, right? He can't complain.
Well,
but I mean, he's in the game for the game, not for the the
if he's making $200,000 a year, then his family's doing quite well as far as, America goes.
But I mean, he's playing basketball for the love of the game, not to be traded like some piece of meat. It's disappointing.
I'm sure he's disappointed that he's not better than he's not as good as maybe he thought he was going to be. Because there are certain times when you're in high school and you're so much better than everybody else, you're like, I'm going to be Michael Jordan. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. And then somewhere in college, you're like, well, I'm not going to be Jordan, but I can make it to the NBA. And then you make it to the NBA, and then you just hold on for dear life as long as possible so that you can make the veteran's minimum, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. It hurts. I mean, your body breaks down. You got to fly all over the place. That's not fun when you don't want to do it. Yeah, it's not all parties when you're just a working NBA player, but it's still a pretty sweet gig.
You're still getting paid pretty well.
Yeah.
There should be a guy who gets into the NBA and he just changes his name to be named. So we'll trade you LeBron James and a player to be named and a player to be named later.
His son, who has a hyphenated name because in their culture they take the father and mother's last name, and a player to be named was married to Cynthia Later. So they had a son, and they named him a player to be named, but hyphenated later.
Hyphen later.
Hyphen later. Not hyphenated. Hyphen later. Yes. Okay, so that's the trivia question. Who is the person that has been the player to be named? I guess it would be funnier if I would have said, who was the player that was the player to be named later most often in the NBA? And also, why do they even have that strategy? Where did that come from? We'll look up the Three Musketeers to make sure that I didn't screw it up, because that would be super embarrassing. Find out if they played any sports in Shakespeare's time. On Mike and Scott, read a poem. Did you find the answer?
Yeah, it's whipped nougat filling.
Okay, whipped nougat. Is nougat in Snickers also?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's that.
So we're back on Mike and Scott Read a Poem, and as you could hear, we were talking about what's inside a Three Musketeers bar, because I did know the Three Musketeers properly.
Nice.
But there is something else that I'd like to point out about Three Musketeers that I saw on Wikipedia. Originally, it had 3 pieces in one package. One which was chocolate, one was strawberry, and one was vanilla. Hence the name Three Musketeers. There's 3 different types. I'd like to try that.
So that's why it's called Three Musketeers.
Yeah, even though there's only 2 real ingredients. Chocolate and whipped nougat.
I never questioned why Three Musketeers candy bar was called Three Musketeers.
Well, you got the question and the answer on the same day. Isn't that a productive day?
Pretty good, yeah.
So tell us, which sports were they playing during Shakespeare's time?
All right, so Shakespeare was alive in the late 1500s and the early 1600s. And the sports that were kind of being popularized at that time were cricket, golf, and a sport called bowls, which is basically lawn bowling. So yeah, Sonnet 47 is probably, when he says league, he's probably referring to a bowling league.
A bowling league. He wants,
most likely.
Yes. His eye and his heart have joined a bowling league together.
That's what he was referencing.
So a player to be named later. I couldn't find the thing on ESPN that I had seen, but I did find out that there is a movie. It's a documentary from 2005 called A Player to be Named Later, and it's the inspiring true story of 4 minor league baseball players.
Okay.
One of them is named Marco Scutaro, and he made it to the major leagues, and he was pretty good.
That sounds like a name I've heard before for some reason.
He might still be playing. I mean, that's only 9 years ago.
Scutaro.
But the other players, Kyle Peterson, maybe that sounds familiar. I'm not sure. But yeah, that sounds like a great movie. There's also a famous line from Bull Durham, where that's the movie with Kevin Costner where he's the minor league baseball player.
Oh, yeah. But
yeah.
That's Kevin Costner's like go-to role, isn't it?
He's pretty
a sports guy.
Oh, sports guy. Yes, I thought you meant Bull Durham.
Old washed-up
like
sports guy.
Movie. Yes, sports guy. Yes. Yep. So he introduces himself to the manager as, I'm the player to be named later. So that's funny. And then here's an even cooler thing. There have been 4 times in the history of baseball where the player to be named later was one of the players traded. So they get traded from one team to the other and then back to the first team.
So they leave as a player to be named later, and
yes.
They come back as a player to be named later again?
As the player. They leave as a player, and they come back as a player to be named later. Because the reason that they have this rule is that they can't. It buys time for the first team to even figure out what they want. So they're sellers. They're like, here, take this good player, and now they're going to, spend some time with the players they have and then choose what they need later. So it has to close within 6 months of the conclusion of the first part of the trade.
That's a pretty long time period.
Yeah. So you and I are going to trade players, and we're going to do it right now. So I get your players, you get my players. But the contracts don't quite line up, so I'm going to give you one more player to be named later. You think about it. You let me know in about 6 months.
Yeah. What if there is no what if there's no player that really I want?
Funny you should ask, because then they could make another agreement. It could be a cash agreement.
Okay. So that player to be named later could be a cash sum to be named later.
Yeah. And there's one more funny story in which Dave Winfield, remember that name? Dave Winfield?
Yeah. Did he play on the Angels?
He did play on the Angels for a little while.
Nice.
He was traded from the Twins to the Indians. And in the terms and conditions of the trade, if Winfield appeared in 16 or more games, the Twins would get some minor league player. But if he played in less than 16 games, it would be a lower minor league player. But this happened during the baseball strike of 1994. And eventually the season was canceled, so no games were played.
Man.
Here's how they settled the trade. Cleveland, the Indians, paid the Twins $100, and the general manager of the Indians took the general manager of the Twins out to dinner.
Really? For Dave Winfield?
This was way later in his career, 1994. Yeah, so he's getting ready to retire, so but, yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That was the sum to be named later. I mean, the player to be named later eventually became a dinner be named later.
Yeah. Yep. So that's how much they loved Dave Winfield. But you know how much I love Dave Winfield?
How much?
I love him I remember watching him play, and he was so big and strong, but so skilled.
Was he a power hitter?
I saw him hit for the cycle once. I think I don't remember what team he was playing for, but he had a single, a double, a triple, and a home run.
Oh, that's a cycle?
Game. Yeah, that's the cycle. And we're talking about a guy... Oh, man,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, a guy that hit over 400 career home runs. He also does this number. Very impressive guy. But I also heard that he's a really good guy. And I think maybe that's what makes me like him more. It's just he seemed, really cool, good with the fans.
Back in the day.
Teammates. Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, he's a whatever player. He's no, Ken Griffey Jr., but he's all right.
But then you kind of forget about him, right?
Well, I just feel like, I like him because he's a good guy.
But then you see his baseball card that you have,
and I look at his
to
numbers.
Your dashboard.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, this guy had great numbers, and that makes me appreciate him through my eyes again, which makes my heart go like, wow, he had those good numbers, and he was a good guy. Man, I love Dave Winfield, and when I go to sleep at night, and I don't have any of these other senses to work, my mind is going to remind me through dreams. Dave Winfield is one of the greatest baseball players in baseball history, and that is a player to be named later. Here on Mike and Scott Read a Poem.
Nice.
Winfield was drafted by 4 teams in 3 different sports. The San Diego Padres selected him, the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA, and the Utah Stars in the ABA. 4 teams in 3 different sports. And even though he never played college football, the Minnesota Vikings selected Winfield in the 17th round of the NFL draft.
Really? Okay, so this podcast is sponsored by the American Gladiator Hawk. He was on the Gladiators from 1993 to 96. His name was Lee Rearman. And this is a beautiful man. He's got He's got blonde hair, blue eyes, he's tall.
And you know the best thing about him? In 1973, he drafted Dave Winfield into the American Gladiators.
As an unknown gladiator. A gladiator to be named later.
He was the gladiator to be named later. Wow, we just will not drop Dave Winfield from the show today. He's everything. And that's what he was. He played every sport, and he was a gladiator. He was the gladiator to be named later.